Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's Mid-City Sermon Cast. We're going to continue our conversation and exploration of Romans 12 and some different values that Paul lifts up for us, I think, that show us a better way of being in the world. So let's dive in. So I run out to the hospitals fairly regularly as part of my job to go visit people, and there's a sign in one of the hospital elevators that every time I see it, it just kind of makes me stop and pause. And the sign says this: "Abuse of our staff will not be tolerated." And every time I see it, I think to myself, really, is it that bad out there? You know, if we need a sign like that in a hospital elevator, to me, something has really gone wrong in our society. And it's not just in hospitals. Youth sports referees state that their primary reason for quitting their job, anybody got a guess? It's the verbal abuse that comes from parents. I don't know how many of you have seen like on the internet, like videos of town hall meetings and stuff where people like lose their minds. You know, it's all over the place. And the bottom line is this: basic human decency feels a little harder to come by these days. And while some of us might shrug and think, well, people are going to be people, for me, the concern is real, because I believe that these everyday habits of respect and civility in some ways are what hold us together as communities. And when these sort of boundaries and these norms start to fray, I think we should certainly pay attention, and I would say even be a little bit concerned. But here's the good news. We're not helpless, and we don't have to be victims of the world's ways. And so we're continuing this conversation this week about Romans 12, and I'm calling this series A Better Way, because I believe that in Romans 12, Paul lifts up a set of values to us that really do kind of show us a better way, Jesus' way of being in the world. And so this week, I'm going to read to you from the Message translation, or it's a paraphrase of Paul's writings from Romans 12. And then we'll dig into another one of these values. So here's Romans 12, verses 1 and 2, and then 9 through 18 from Eugene Peterson's Message paraphrase. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for Him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God, and you'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings out the best in you, develops well-formed maturity in you. Love from the center of who you are. Don't fake it. Run for dear life from evil. Hold on for dear life to good. Be good friends who love deeply. Practice playing second fiddle. Don't burn out. Keep yourselves fueled and aflame. Be alert servants of the Master, cheerfully expectant. Don't quit in hard times. Pray all the harder. Help needy Christians. Be inventive in hospitality. Bless your enemies, no cursing under your breath. Laugh with your happy friends when they're happy. Share tears when they're down. Get along with each other. Don't be stuck up. Make friends with nobodies. Don't be the great somebody. Don't hit back. Discover beauty in everyone. If you've got it in you, get along with everybody. Don't insist on getting even. That's not for you to do. So the virtue and the value that I want to pull out this week is this. It's love devoted to good. And Paul says it this way in this paraphrase: love from the center of who you are, don't fake it, run from dear life from evil, and hold on for dear life to good. So the question I want us to think about a little bit is, when you hear the word good, what comes into your mind? And I think good's one of those words in the English language that can mean lots of different things, right? So we might say something tastes good. When we see a movie that we like, we would tell people, I saw a really good movie, right? But I got to say, I don't think that's what Paul is talking about here when he says that we should hold on for dear life to good. What I think he's talking about is moral goodness. And that is actions, intentions, or character traits that are considered ethical and right. So I'm going to assume that most of you grew up hearing from your parents or from teachers or somebody that you should be good, right? Y'all ever hear that? Somebody told me one time that every single time they left their house that their mom told them, be good, But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why are we supposed to do the things that are ethical and right in the world? So let me give you an example. If I'm in the store and I buy some stuff and I get in my car, and when I get in my car, I realize that the cashier forgot to ring up a particular item. Why should I go back into the store and pay for it? And one of the things I'm going to assume here is that you agree with me that you should go back into the store and pay for it, that'd be the right thing to do, right? But why? Is it because my mom told me to? Is because I might get in trouble. There's cameras everywhere nowadays. Like, somebody might see me and I might get in trouble. And somebody might be thinking, again, well, because it's the right thing to do. But again, what I want to kind of dig into is why? Why is it the right thing to do? And to answer this question from a biblical perspective, we need to go back to the very first set of rules that are given to us in the Bible. And those are the 10 Commandments, right? So I don't know if you know this, but the first the first series in the 10 Commandments are about our relationship with God, and the second set in the 10 Commandments are about our relationship with others. And those are the ones I want to focus on. So those are the ones that say this: don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't bear false witness, don't covet. And again, what I want to ask is, why did God give us these commandments? Is it because God enjoys giving us hoops to jump through, just wants to kind of make life difficult and challenging for us? Is it because God just wants us to obey? Is this the kind of eternal parent in the sky saying, because I'm your father and I said so? So to get an answer to this question, we need to look at something that Jesus said in Matthew 22. And so in Matthew 22, Jesus is approached by a teacher of the law who asks him the question. He says, Jesus, out of everything that God taught Moses and everything God revealed to the prophets, what's the point? Like, what's the bottom line here? And Jesus doesn't hesitate to answer. He says this: love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, your mind, and your strength. And then he adds, love your neighbor as yourself. And then this is a really key thing he says after that. He says, all the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. And so what Jesus is telling us, why did God give us the 10 commandments? Why did God give us all of these rules and ethical things to follow? And the bottom line is this: it's love. It's love. And so according to Jesus, the entire moral vision of the Bible is summed up with this one word: love. Love for God, love for others, and I would suggest to you love that works itself out in goodness. Why did God give us the 10 Commandments? It really is this simple: because if I kill you, I am not loving you. If I steal from you, I am not loving you. Lying destroys trust in relationships. Coveting poisons relationships. Adultery destroys love and intimacy. So what I want you to hear me say is, the rules are not there for the rules' sake. The rules are there for love's sake. They are there to guide us into what it looks like to be loving people. And Paul makes this connection even more explicit in Romans 13, verse 10. He says this: love does no wrong to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law. And I just want to pause and ask you this question real quick. So does this seem obvious to you? Does it seem obvious that doing the right thing to do is also the most loving thing to do? Because I got to tell you, for a long time, I didn't make that connection. Like, I just kind of heard rules, and I have the kind of personality that says, oh, you make a rule, I'll probably figure out how to break it. But when I started to make the connection between these rules and being a loving person, I do want to be a loving person in the world. Isn't there enough hurt and harm in the world? I don't want to add to it. I want to be a person of love and that brings goodness into the world. So let's go back to sitting in that store parking lot with the item that I didn't get charged for. Why should I go back in and pay? And I want to underline this fact. You should go back in and pay for it. But why? What's the reason? And I would say that the reason is love. And how about this? It's love for the cashier. It's love for the business owner. Have you all ever waited tables or worked a retail job? I have. I always tell people it was the best preparation for ministry I ever had, right? But at the end of the day, if you're the cashier and you're responsible for that drawer, what do? The manager counts it. And if the drawer's short, who's in trouble? Right? It's the cashier. And so they've got the receipts, they know the items, and maybe if an item here or there gets by, that might be okay, but it could really become a problem for that cashier. And I assume that cashier's there because they need a job and they need to pay their rent and they need to put food on their table. And by me taking that item, I am not loving that person. And same with the business owner, by the way. They're there, I assume, to make a living and to put food on the table, and they employ other people. And so stealing from them is not loving them. Why do we make the moral choice? Why do we try to be good? Because it is the loving thing to do. But I think one of the things we have to own is doing the good thing and doing the loving thing is not always the easy thing. Sometimes choosing good means that it will cost me something. So I read a story a while back about a woman from Guilford, New Hampshire. Her name was Sonia O'Brien. And she was loading groceries into her car in the parking lot, and she didn't get by with an item that she didn't pay for. She looked back towards that grocery store, and she saw a Brinks armored truck there. You know what those are? Like the big trucks that carry all the money, right? And that armored truck was pulling away, and she noticed that its back door was open, and on the ground was a bulging bag of cash that had fallen out onto the ground. Now, I know what some of you were thinking. The Lord provides, right? But listen to me. No, that's not the message we're trying to take away here, right? So Sonia said that she thought about the driver and how much trouble he was going to be in when he got back to where he was going. And so she went with her son and she scooped up that bag of money and she took it into the store and gave it to the store manager. And the store manager gave her $100 gift card to the store, which was awfully nice, but it had nothing about like the amount of money that was in that bag, right? Doing the right thing cost her something. But one of the things I found fascinating was that when she was interviewed later about this, she said this to the interviewer: doing the right thing made me feel good. It made me feel good. And I think about it, it's almost like God created us to be good. I would say, not almost. God created us to be good. God created us in his image, and we're to reflect God's nature into the world. And God would always choose the good and the loving thing. And if we want to be God's children in the world, we should live that way too. So what do you think you would have done in that situation? What would you have done? So goodness can also mean telling the truth when it would be easier and safer to keep quiet. It can also mean standing with someone who's vulnerable, even when it's unpopular, and again, when it can cost you something. I always think of a story that I learned years ago about a guy named Casper ten Boom. And some of you may know the story. There's a famous story called The Hiding Place that was written by his daughter. Her name was Corey. But Casper and Corey and their sister Betsy, so again, Casper's the dad, Corey and Betsy are the daughters, were Christian people who lived in an area where the Nazis took over. And when they started taking Jewish people to concentration camps, Casper ten Boom and his daughters began to hide them in their home. And at one point in time, they were discovered by the Nazis, and Casper and his two daughters were taken away to a place where they were being processed, and they were going to end up in a concentration camp because they had been working against the Nazis. So apparently there was a young Nazi guard who, when he saw Casper, who was 84 years old at the time, said to him, "Hey, old man, you kind of remind me of my grandfather. If you promise me that you'll stop hiding Jewish people, I'll let you go home." And Casper looked at that Nazi guard and said to him, "If I go home today, tomorrow I will open my door to anyone who knocks who is in need." And Casper ended up being sent to that concentration camp where he died about 10 days later. I always tell people when I think about that story, I want to be like Casper Ten Boom when I grow up, right? But for him, doing good and choosing good, it wasn't optional. It was what it meant to be a follower of Christ and what it meant to be a person of love in the world. So I love several things from Eugene Peterson's paraphrase of Romans 12. One thing in particular stands out, and it kind of reminds me of something I talked about last week. And I would encourage you, if you didn't get to hear last week's sermon cast, to go back and listen to it. It's really important. But Eugene Peterson says this: "Fix your attention on God, and you'll be changed from the inside out." And one thing I want you to know is we're not left to muster up love and goodness on our own. As we immerse our lives in God and in Christ through things like worship and through things like scripture and prayer, God's Spirit begins to work within us, renewing our minds, shaping our hearts, and actually changing us into the kind of people who want to be people who love and want to be people who do good. So what does it look like to run for dear life towards what is good? I think it looks like loving God, it looks like loving yourself, and loving your neighbor. So how do we love God? Through things like worship and prayer and study. And I guess I'd ask you to think about this question: is your life being shaped more by God or by something else? And how about love of self? Are you being true to who God has made you to be? Are you caring for your body? Are you practicing honesty and integrity in your relationships? Are you being ethical? And what about others? Do you think about how your decisions affect other people? Do you treat people fairly? Do you keep your promises? Do you look out for the vulnerable, right? Those are just some things that we can think about as we seek to be people who live out this life of love that is committed to good. So remember, we do these things not because somebody told us. We do them because through Jesus we are being remade in love. And one day, scriptures tell us that goodness will not be the exception. When Christ returns and love has the final word, it'll be everything. We'll all live immersed in this love. Until then, I want you to hear this. Every time you choose good, every time you choose what's right, in big ways and in small ways, you're choosing a life of love, and you're giving the world a glimpse of Jesus and his better way. Catch you next time, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Mid-City Church Sermoncast. If you'd like to find a home sheet, a resource that accompanies the sermoncast that has more questions to explore, the scriptures we use today, and more information, you can visit our website, midcity.church/sermoncast. If you'd like to support Mid-City Church by giving, please text the word GIVE to 225-307-0662. Thank you for your generosity, and we look forward to seeing you next week.